All righty. From a group of folks who have been adults for at least a little while, running in state Senate district. The reason I phrase it that way is coming up right after the bottom of the hour news burst with Gordon. We're going to meet a young man who ran for mayor of Mesquite. He got beaten fairly soundly, but he got more votes than you might expect an 18-year-old to get. I've always been intrigued by the teenager running for public office story, and we have one here in the Metroplex. And he's just turned 19, I understand. So we'll wish happy birthday and toss a few questions out to Don Hill of Mesquite at 9:35. Right now, though, phone call time. Let's see what's on everybody's mind here for a moment or two. 866-660-5759. We're in Crowley. Robert, hey, how are you?
Good morning, Mark.
Hi.
Congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you very much.
Don't miss a day, I don't. Okay, let me get this straight. They're wanting to recall cars that just a few years ago, a vast majority of these cars are wanting to recall were called cash for clunkers.
Exactly.
Government was willing to give them $3,500 to trash the vehicle. Now they want the same vehicle recalled.
That's right. If it just to pick a model in a year, let's say a '95 Jeep Cherokee, a Grand Cherokee. Yeah, it was a clunker a couple of years ago, and now that it's something of sufficient significance that they want the Chrysler people to recall them. Everything's relative, I guess.
When is something going to happen? You know, as long, you know, I thought for certain that there'd be a little justice for Brian Terry by now, and I figure as long as nothing happens to anybody, they're going to do whatever they choose.
You know what's weird about Fast and Furious? The gentleman mentions the Border Patrol officer killed by a Fast and Furious weapon. In a way, Fast and Furious has been sidelined by bigger stuff. I mean, it's kind of funny. Is that good news or bad news? It's not good news for the Terry family, but for those looking for some level of accountability. For Eric Holder and for Barack Obama, it may not come on the altar of Fast and Furious, but it may come on the altar of the IRS.
Well, until something happens to somebody, it's just really hard keeping your chin up.
Hard but not impossible.
Not impossible, but very, very hard. It's just a little vindication for something. Something that'll make them not give them just carte blanche to whatever they want to do.
It's called justice, and it's not always easy. Robert, thank you. It is. I mean, there needs to be justice for Brian Terry's family. There needs to be justice for the IRS victims who were testifying yesterday. There needs to be justice for Ambassador Chris Stevens. There needs to be justice for all who have been aggrieved and victimized by bad things, whether there's from the terrorist world or the world of Washington bureaucracy. The good news is, if this helps you keep your chin up a little more, it's not just talk show guys. There are members of Congress, actual elected officials, fighting for this every day. Hey, can I give you a quick plug? You want to be in a room with a couple of them? Like one of the most admired local members of Congress, Sam Johnson, and one of the most admired members of Congress, period, Paul Ryan. How about Saturday in Plano? You want to hang out with them? And me. Hello. Yeah, it's a Sam Johnson dinner with special guest Paul Ryan. It's at Prestonwood Country Club in Plano on Saturday night, and you can go. It's a fundraiser, so it ain't free, but it's so worth it. It's Sam Johnson, it's Paul Ryan, it's me. How do you not love that trifecta? Go to samjohnsonforcongress.com to learn more. samjohnsonforcongress.com, and I hope to see you Saturday night at Prestonwood Country Club for Sam's event featuring Paul Ryan, and I get to MC it, and I am thrilled. samjohnsonforcongress.com to get into that room. Let's get into that room, the newsroom with Gordon Griffin. It's the home stretch, 9:38. 866-660-5759. So we spent a little time earlier this hour, looking back at the elections of 2012 and what might happen in the future in Senate District 10. Let's go local here. Let's go to the just held, because just a couple of weekends ago we had big municipal elections all over the place, and among the places we had them was in Mesquite, where John Monaco won re-election for mayor. His opponent was an interesting story, though. He was 18, has since turned 19, and I'm going to guess usually the average teenager running for public office gets a percentage that is less than his age, usually far less than his age. But we welcome Don Hill. Let me make sure I got the math right here. First, as they say hi to Don, how are you doing, sir?
How's it going, Mr. Davis?
It is going wonderfully. Now, I saw in an article that Mayor Monaco won with 72%. Does that mean you got the other 28 or lion's share of it? How'd that work out?
Yes, I did get the other 28, and we came in second as far as turnout. So there was one other council race that got more votes than us. So almost everybody that voted for the mayor race.
Understand. Well, let's go chronologically. First of all, when did you turn 19, by the way?
I turned 19 the day of the election.
Well,
I wasn't able to celebrate my birthday.
Doggone it. Well, maybe you plenty more birthdays left. So at some point, someday, you looked in the mirror and said, I'm going to run for mayor of Mesquite. Tell me about that day.
Well, I was in class one day in my junior year in high school. Me and my friends were sitting around and talking, and, I was explaining to them about some of the government aspects of things that they didn't understand, and they said, well, Don, if you know that much, maybe you should run. I said, yeah, that's a good idea. So I decided, well, mayor would be a cool start, so I decided to run for mayor.
Mayor would be a cool start. Usually, if you've got a kid who's fairly politically astute, and you go to Horn High, right?
Yes, I did. I graduated.
Exactly. And when was graduation?
Graduation was May of 2012.
Very good. It was just last year. Exactly right. So usually when someone turns to a politically astute high school student and says, well, maybe you ought to run, there's some shrugging, some laughter, and then you go play basketball or study or watch TV or something. What was it that made you take this to heart and say, well, all right, I am going to do this. I am going to try this. And what's the first thing that you have to do? I mean, first thing anybody has to do in a campaign is fairly standard stuff. But when you're doing it in you're a high school senior, 18 years old. I mean, how does that work out?
Well, I told everybody, everybody and their grandmother knew that I was going to run for mayor. I told them that I wanted a political career. I wanted to be a politician. In 2008, I was a freshman. I got interested in the presidential race with John McCain. I was so confused why somebody would vote a one-term senator in against a decorated war hero. So I decided to look into politics. I got interested in it. I was part of the Mitt Romney campaign. And I said, well, if nobody else is going to run, there needs to be somebody else people can vote for. So I decided to verse John Monaco because he ran unopposed last time. Mm-hmm. And the time before that, he ran against Jeremy Ritchie, which was a 24-year-old that I contacted, and he was kind of a mentor early on in the campaign.
How did Mr. Ritchie do against Mayor Monaco?
He had a higher turnout, mm-hmm. So if you take away that, we almost had the same percentage.
I understand. Gotcha. So the first step, I mean, there are two things you got to do when you're running. Two very important things. One is give people a big list of reasons to to vote for you, and then reasons to vote against the other guy. Listen, I've never met Mayor Monaco. Mesquite is great. It's a wonderful community. I got nothing against him. Love to have him on the show at some point. But part of your job was to say, hey, here's why you need to change mayors. What was that logic?
Well, actually, it was just some basic things. I set up two plans. I can contribute a large portion of that to my campaign treasurer, Mr. Brad Crompton. He helped me. He's been on numerous campaigns. His dad was a campaign manager. He's been on state, federal, and local elections. So he's definitely the driving force behind me. And me and him were able to collaborate many times and develop plans. I developed two plans, my 10-year plan and the Hill plan. The Hill plan was what I plan to do in office, and it encompassed a number of things, such as moving council meetings from 12 o'clock a.m. on Mondays that nobody can attend to 7 o'clock Monday night to where it could get better audiences, and et cetera. But
Gotcha.
The problem I had is I could not focus anything on what Mayor Monaco said because he never said anything.
Wow. Well, the Dallas Morning News famously suggests, it's kind of funny, they wrote a blog piece about you, and they said, dude's 18, it's a little unconventional, but why should we write this guy off? I mean, Mayor Monaco didn't even answer our questionnaire.
Right, and the only thing he did one article in the Mesquite Star, which is our local newspaper.
Right.
And he basically just said, hey, vote for me because of my record. He said that he wanted to see some things to bed. He wanted to finish out some of his projects, and he wanted to finish out his positions on committees. He never said anything about plans he had about Mesquite moving forward. my plan was nothing but Mesquite moving forward. I had a 10-year plan to talk about our road crisis, which all the challengers talked about, and all the incumbents just brushed it off. We have a huge road crisis.
Well, let's spend a second on that because being Texas, we're going to have road issues, but
Right.
and obviously from big cities like Dallas and Fort Worth and et cetera. But what's the Mesquite road crisis?
The Mesquite road crisis is basically the neighborhood roads. Just like the road I live on, it's layers and layers and layers of just broken tar. They spend all this money, which I believe it's about $3 million in our budget, spend that money on short-term repairs when they need to worry about long-term repairs, such as revamping and reviving some of our road network.
That takes money, though, and that's a tough sell.
Right, and that's what my 10-year plan was. It was a $120 million plan, which council estimated that about $300 million of road need replacement. And the plan was to cut other areas of the budget and take away our reserve to be able to fund our road network. Because the problem is, yes, it costs money, but we have to do it at some point. If you continue to lay it off, if you continue to be Congress, you will continue just to kick the can down the road. And then what's going to happen when I'm Monica's age?
Ouch. They've spoken by a true 19-year-old. 19-year-old Don Hill is with us, just fresh off a run for mayor of Mesquite. I got to ask, what'd your parents think of this?
My parents were not thrilled.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa. Why?
Well, I had my biological father, my stepfather, and my mother, and until the results came in, they thought that, there was not a chance of me doing it. They thought it was a waste of time, that my efforts could be going towards, like, my job career, et cetera.
Yeah.
But and then the results came in, and they were surprised that I got 616 votes.
Which is 28%. I mean, there are people, there are seasoned politicians get beat worse than you did.
Yeah, actually, I was estimated to be 9%.
Yeah, wow. And so, I mean, did it strike them as, okay, he's 18. This is just a flight of fancy. He probably ought to be, doing other stuff. Did you get some of that?
Not from my parents. I got it from people. But what I really got encouraged is other local politicians. I got to thank Fitzgerald and Crane and, other people running, some news people such as Mr. Miller from Eye on Mesquite. They told me, you don't really have business doing this. You're 18 years old, but at least you're doing something.
Well, I will flat tell you, I've talked to people twice and three times your age who don't seem to have as much on the ball as you do. So I'm enormously proud of you. You're 19. So so we did this race didn't work out the way you thought. You thinking of running for something else, or what are you doing to have a job or pay some bills or live life? What are you doing?
Well, I'm currently getting around and getting employed at other areas. I had a job for a short amount of time, but I didn't like how that was working out. But, that's not my word. I want to dedicate myself to Mesquite. The first thing I'm doing is I make politics from a new perspective, and its goal is to encourage people into public service and to help Mesquite gain their true democracy.
Would maybe a run for city council make some sense?
Right, but I'm not entirely sure yet. Because there's also other people running that I may want to back on their campaign.
Sure.
I'm not entirely sure if I'll run.
Gotcha. Understand. Well, all right. Well, listen, you got a Facebook page or something I can throw people to if they want to keep track of you?
Politicsfromnewperspective.org, Facebook.com/Heal for Mayor.
Really? Politicsfromanewperspective.org. You got that?
Yes.
I would think somebody would have scarfed that up by now. Good for you. Good for you. Well, listen, man, it's a pleasure to meet you. I mean, all we old fogies do is sit around and talk about how the young people, just sit around and smoke dope and play video games and don't do anything. We fear for the future. And I'm just proud of you. I really, really am. And good for you for doing something. And who knows what we might be talking about in the future. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Day.
God bless you, Don. Thank you. All right. That's just cool, isn't it? Little unconventional, to say the least. But you know what? Maybe we need a little bit of unconventional. Now, and in fact, this is kind of neat. That went very well. Usually when you have somebody who's 18 or 19 or something like that running for office, it's just a bit. It in fact, is it usually is self-indulgent narcissism. It's just somebody with too much time on his hands. This guy had a road plan. This guy had a 10-year plan. He clearly is a thoughtful young man. I want to say something very clearly, too. Is if Mayor Monaco wants to be on the show, it seems like we ought to have equal time. I'm sure he's a wonderful man. Mesquite is a great community. He won by a lot, so people are obviously pretty pleased with him. So there was no slight intended to the incumbent, who actually did enjoy a pretty successful election day there. So no ill will anywhere. I was just interested in young Mr. Hill. So there we go. Now we've all met him. Who knows what he may do next? Well, I know what I'm going to do next. I'm going to pause, come back. We're going to see who's going to take us out musically, and I'll give you a thought or